why...
Tell us about Jesus.
No, tell us why the Jews don't accept Jesus. Why do we reject Jesus?
Same reason we reject Batman, Superman, and the Green Lantern as religious leaders for ourselves.
Okay, that's
one
way.
view.
That's one view.
That's mine.
That's his.
We don't believe in comic book characters.
Okay, here's how I look at it. Who was Jesus? What was he? Okay? Some people might say, well, he was a prophet. Well, he's not a prophet because the Talmud says that prophecy was removed from the world in the time of what's called the Anshe Knesset Gedola, in the time of the Men of the Great Assembly.
2,300 years ago.
About 400 years before Jesus could have possibly been born.
Yeah.
Okay? So it was already removed. The last prophets were Zechariah, Haggai, and Malachi. And that's it. Done. In the time of Ezra, it's done. Okay, so there's no more prophecy after that. There's just not. The next prophet that was going to come after that time is when Eliyahu HaNavi, when Elijah the prophet comes to announce that the Mashiach, that the Messiah is here. That's it. So he's not a prophet. Okay, well, they say, well, he's the Messiah. He's not Messiah because he died. Oh. Where do I know this from? The Rambam lists in Hilchos Malachim, at the end of it, he talks about, like, what are the requirements for the Mashiach. And he lists, I believe there's 6. And it says, like, he has to bring all the Jews back to the land of Israel. And they have to start, we rebuild the temple. And there's, make the base of Mikdash and start doing karbanos, start doing offerings again. And it's a time when there's no more wars and all these things. Well, and he can't die until the job is done. Can't die until the job is done. So Jesus died. It's like game over. And how do we know this? Because there were. Let me just correct myself so that nobody catches me on this. That's what the Rambam says. The Rambam says there's 6 particular things.
Maimonides is the Rambam, and he lived between about in the 12th century primarily.
Okay. And he lists the 6 things that are the requirements, of which Jesus did 0 of them. He completed 0 of the 6, as far as anybody's concerned. I mean, there's still wars going on. The Jews don't live in Israel. We haven't built the base of Mikdash. We're not doing Carbon. He did nothing.
Right.
He did nothing, right? The Rambam doesn't specifically state... Okay, I'm not going to get into that, because it's like a whole thing, but I'm going to get in... I'll say this. It is clear from Jewish Masorah, from our tradition, and the Ramban and many other Rishonim debated against Christians for hundreds of years, and it was clear from the transcripts of those debates that Judaism has never accepted the concept that the Messiah could die in the middle of the job.
Or even without getting any of the job done.
Well, yeah. And figure, well, what if he comes back and he finishes all the 6 Rambam things?
Then we'll have another Torah talk.
Then the answer,
we'll discuss it.
The answer is he's not going to. He's done. He failed. He is not the Messiah, and that is clearly Judaism. And you're going to say, well, that's not what the church says. Well, great. Here's the thing on that. Jesus was a Jew. This is the part. We're going to get into this, but Jesus was a Jew. He was supposedly following Torah, Judaism, right?
Right.
And this is what Judaism says.
Right.
Judaism says the Messiah has to bring everybody back, and the Judaism says he can't die before he does it. Jesus died before he finished this job, if he was the person, therefore he's not the Messiah. Done. Okay. Then they say, well, what about the fact that he could be God in a body? Well, that's a problem, because Judaism doesn't allow for Torah doesn't allow for God to be corporeal. You can't have God wrapped up in a human body. God has no physicality. He has no physicality. He can't be that. So, in fact, it says, the Rambam writes this, that if somebody says that, oh, God is corporeal, then they are a min. which is
heretic.
a heretic.
Their share in the world to come.
Yeah, and they're considered a heretic. We can't count them in a minion. We can't trust them for their kashrus. We can't eat at their house. We don't accept their testimony. We don't believe them. They have no believability. So to say that God is wrapped up in a body of some Jewish guy, I mean, for any Jew to believe that, you give up everything. You give up your world to come, as Levi said, because you become a man. You're no longer even a full-blown Jew at that point. I mean, it's ridiculous. You're a heretic. So it's complete heresy to say such a thing. It totally goes against Jewish Torah thought. What about the idea that, he's the son of God? Well, here's my 2 cents on that. You ready for this?
Yes.
We're all the sons of God.
Yes.
The children of Israel are all the sons of God. I mean, every single person on the planet is a son of God, okay?
Right.
So that's no big deal, right? He was born from God. We're all born from God, okay?
Right.
And so there's that. So, I mean, when you put it all together, who was Jesus? What is it that you believe about him? If he's he's not a prophet, he's not the Messiah, he's not like some special son of God, he's clearly not God wrapped up in a body, right? I mean, basically, at the end of the day, you're left with just a Jewish guy who was running his own cult.
Yeah.
And you say, well, how is that possible that, people would believe such a thing? Well, really, who believed it? Who believed it back then? Not the Jews.
No.
Maybe a handful of Jews.
Some Hellenized Jews.
Yeah, the most ignorant of Torah. The Jews who were most ignorant of Torah were the few that fell for it.
Yeah.
But the millions of Jews who were studying and learning Torah every day, and were the ones who knew that there's no more prophecy in the world, what the Messiah has to do to become the Messiah, these kind of things, these are the ones who would never accept that. And the fact that they didn't accept it is your proof that Christianity doesn't make sense. In fact, I will say this. The only people in the world that had a concept of a Messiah, the one people on the planet that brought the Messiah concept are the Jewish people, and we're the people that reject Jesus as being the Messiah. Right? In other words, the Jews have the rule book on who qualifies as being the Messiah, and we say Jesus doesn't qualify.
Mm-hmm.
The smart observer needs no more information than that.
Now, for people in the chat room who are having some audio difficulties, don't worry, I've got it. You just sit back and think. So, now, could you boil down those weighty theological insights and mime them to the camera? That's good, that's good. Hope that helps. Hope that helps for the folks at home who have audio difficulties, and just sometimes the weightiest and loftiest philosophical and theological issues can be boiled down to a few very succinct gestures. Very well said. Right. Very well put.
Now, I have heard from Christians who would say, "But wait a minute, Rabbi, let's think this through.
Mm-hmm.
What are the odds on this, right?
Right.
If a person did one miracle."
Yeah, if they raised someone from the dead.
If they did one miracle, you'd go, "Wow, miracle." But what if a person did several miracles? And what if that same person fulfilled not one prophecy, but 300 prophecies?
Mm-hmm.
Right? What would you say?
What would you say, Rabbs?
I say, who cares? It's all irrelevant. It really isn't. Christianity pitches their religion, right?
Yeah.
On things that really mean nothing. But people don't realize that these things are irrelevant.
Yeah.
Okay. Why does it not matter about the miracles? Because God clearly says, we learned this the last time I was here.
Mm-hmm.
It says it in Devarim. It says it right in the written Torah.
Yeah.
Right? It says it that you'll see people that will perform miracles, and they'll try to turn you away from Torah, and you just ignore them.
Yeah.
It's just a test that God creates. God gives certain people powers that they can perform miracles.